Okay, so go ahead and tell her to go home.
Izzy, go home. Ellie. Izzy, go home.
Now go give her the treat while she's still in the kennel. Up.
Go home.
There you go. Now give her the treat and say home the second she touches it. And keep on saying home. Now hold the racket in front. All right, I would suggest you take a knee. This is going to take a minute or two. All right. You want to grab her collar so she doesn't participate?
Come here, Ellie.
All right, let's do that again. Here's a treat. Ask her to come for the treat.
Ellie.
Now hold on to the treat and grab the collar while she... There you go. There you go. All right. Now what you're going to do is I want you to pull the tennis racket back about 6 inches, and if she comes forward, you rush towards her to block her from... Boom. That's your way of saying no. So when you see her SIT, you want to make sure you move it back. So move it back about 6 inches again and hold it there. Now she LA wide, right? Mm-hmm. But she's still in an excited state, like the fourth consequence we talked about in the other video. She laid down, but she wasn't calm. So now take it back. Now take it back again. So the idea is we want to gradually remove the impediment or the blockage. And so she has to keep herself in there with nothing but air between her and the exit. So that's your way of saying that. Now pull it back away. So I want to go quickly to her to block. And then as soon as she goes back, then I pull it away.
Okay.
I don't want to hold it there. All right, so what we're going to do is wait for her to lay down and to be calm. As soon as that's the case, you're going to say C-O-M-E and ask her to come out. Now I'm going to explain. I want you to watch her and just do that when that happens. I'm going to explain the procedure you guys are going to go through in the rest of this video so we make good time or make good use of it. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to basically gradually move further and further away like you did. And that's about good for now. The first couple times I don't want to be further than about a foot and a half away because I don't want to encourage them to, and I don't have you keep your eyes there. I appreciate you looking at me, but I want you to have good focus because they will wait for you to be distracted and then they're going to bust out. And the last thing we want for this exercise is them to practice rushing out. Because normally you let them out of the kennels, that's how they get out. Mm-hmm. And this is how you should let them out of the kennel. I would open the door and then put the tennis racket right there and gradually step it away that we did in little segments. And the dog cannot come out until it's completely calm and LAYing. Now we tell it to LAY, it's just following a command, it doesn't mean anything. If we do this while the dog is, get a little bit better footage if we do this. If we wait for the dog to SIT, that's a more subordinate position. When now she's LAYing, right? And she's calm. Mm-hmm. So now use the treat and say C-O-M-E.
Come.
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 So she's only going to be able to exit the kennel in a calm state for both dogs. Now, at first, this is going to be a real challenge. It's going to take you a good 5 minutes, different periods of time before they will actually stay calm in the kennel. But gradually, you'll be able to do it for longer periods of time. So what you want to do is do the same thing you just did there. Only difference is you're going to start adding time. Now, once she starts laying down within about 20 seconds and she's not whimpering, then you want to basically start adding time. Once she LAYs, then I'm going to wait 30 seconds. Then as long as she stays calm and she's not whimpering, then I give her hold my hand up like this with the treat in it and say C-O-M-E. She comes out and gets the treat. Okay. Then I would have her do the same exercise with the same dog for the same iteration. And then you go up to a minute after the dog lays down and is calm, and then you do a minute. And all this time, the door is actually open. Now, gradually, the first couple times, you're going to be about this distance, which may be 1.5 feet, 2 feet away. Eventually, I'd like to see you all the way over by those plastic bins. Okay. And so you might want to pull out a chair or get a pillow or something to sit on it. And it's going to take a little bit of time. But the idea is we want them to practice being calm in the kennel in order to get permission to leave the kennel. Now, the first stage is what we just described. You want to go from 1 to 10 minutes while you're way back there against the other wall, and she's staying in there completely calm. Once you get to the 10-minute mark, both of you, then we're going to repeat the process. This time, after you move about this far away and the dog lays down, you're going to close the door. Not going to latch it. You're just going to close it. Wait if the dog gets up and starts whining, wait again, and you're again right there. So there's nothing for her to panic about because she can see you. And as soon as she's calm and laying down again, then you're going to open the door and let her out. When she starts laying down, once you close the door, it stays laying down or lays down again right away, then we're going to add time. Now we're not going to latch it, but we're going to keep it closed, and then you're going to gradually move it further and further away. That's all right. And the idea is now we're going to practice the same scenario with the door closed while I can still see the human and go all the way to 10 minutes. Actually, I would go to 2 minutes. At 2 minutes, then I would start latching the door. But again, you're not going to go away. You're going to stay in the line of sight. You're just going to be over here. Now, the idea is once you get to that point and get to the 10-minute mark, then I would do the same thing. And after you latch the door, you're going to come up and you're going to go up the stairs just so you're out of the line of sight. You're going to wait 2 seconds and you come back down and open the door and repeat the tennis racket. She can't come out at that point until she's calm again. So when you go out of sight, she's going to start whimpering. Now, if you can, wait for a pause in the whimper before you come back down, and then just ignore it. And don't tell, and I don't want to say ignore it, but don't tell her not to whimper or disagree with it. Do it silently. And then basically, the idea is we gradually get the dog to stand there for longer and longer periods of time. At first, you're out of sight for 5 seconds. Then it's 10 seconds. Then I go to 15, and then I go to 30, 45 a minute, and then longer and longer. So the idea is we want them to gradually practice being in the kennel for longer and longer periods of time, and we do it gradually. Now, if you go from 1 minute to 2 minutes and she can't do that, go to 1 and 1.5 minutes. So always back up one step. But the idea is we want basically her to practice. She's the worst?
Of the kennels, yeah.
Okay. So we want Izzy to practice this enough till she is comfortable being in there, and that's the normal, is her to be calm in there when you're here and when you're letting her out. Now, other things you can do to make it more positive is by putting a treat in the kennel first and letting her go get it. And then we say the word kennel or home in this case. When she touches it with her lips, I say it 2 or 3 times. That way you can say home. I mean, you've already kind of established that. But again, like the analogy I use, finding a $100 bill at the restaurant, same sort of thing here. If every time she goes in her kennel, there's a treat, I like going in the kennel. Now, again, down here, it's a nice finished basement. It's not a laundry room, but it's not where you normally hang out. So I think you're going to do better if you put these upstairs when you practice this exercise, because then that's a room that they're familiar with and comfortable with. And then leave treats in there, but don't let each one go in the other's kennel. So maybe you have one of them in the kennel while you're practicing with the other, or the other one's outside. So because otherwise you have one in the kennel right next to it that's going to whimper, and that's going to make it more challenging. But this is basically a desensitization process, and if you do it methodically and keep on repeating that step until the dog can stay calm at that stage, eventually they don't have a problem being in the kennel.
Yeah.
All right, that's our little kennel exercise.